Hey everyone, welcome back. This is section 3, Gatsby plugins. We've already taken a look at a few plugins together. Some I had already installed for you, then we installed Gatsby plugin React Helmet. But in this section, we're going to dive a little deeper, check out the Gatsby library, and set up our app for tracking and sharing. In this video, we're going to talk about Gatsby's source plugins. Right now, you might be wondering, what is a source plugin? Well, the easiest way to define a source plugin is by saying that they are the plugins that source your data for you. And they can get it from a variety of places. Source plugins can fetch data from databases, APIs, local files, CMSs, you name it. And the great news is we're already using one in our application. So here I am in our Gatsby config file. And you can see, sure enough, right here, there is a plugin called Gatsby Source File System. And like I said, this allows us to source data. We're trying to pull data from somewhere in our file system. So you can see here in our options, we're setting up a path that's leading into contents, into assets. We're just giving it the name assets. And so essentially what we're doing here is we're trying to give our app access to anything that is in this directory here. So if we head over to the playground now and we write a query, we should be able to pull this cheese icon out. So go ahead, start up your app, and I'll see you over in the browser. And it might also be a good idea just to make sure you check out onto the section 3 branch as we are in a new section before you forget. All right, I'll see you over in the browser in the playground as soon as you've started your application. Okay, so here I am in the GraphQL playground. So let's go ahead and clear all this. And we're going to name our query just query FS, short for file system. Okay, now we're going to be looking for all file. And don't forget, if you can't remember what to look for, you don't know what you're looking for, you can just hit Control-C and it'll bring up the whole list of what's available to you. Then we want nodes. And as always, feel free to pause the video and have a play around with this query. And what we want out of this level is we want relative path. And let's look for source instance name. Okay, let's go ahead and run that and see what we get back. Okay, fantastic. So the source instance name is just what we declared in our config file. So we could technically call that whatever we wanted. And we can see here we're getting the relative path to our cheese icon. All right, now let's go to our text editor again. And let's add another file in a new directory and see if we can also pull that in with this query. Okay, so let's come up inside the content directory here. And let's create a new folder. And we're going to call this posts. We will actually be using this a little later on in the course when we start working with markdown files. So posts, and then let's put a markdown file in here. This won't be sticking around for the entire course, is where our real markdown files will go later on though. Let's just call this example MD. And just so our markdown file has something in there, let's just add some simple text. Okay, so we're going to go back over to the browser in a moment to see if we can run that query again and pull this in. Obviously, we need to update our config first, but I just want to mention we are using a source plugin right now. So all we're going to be able to do is to pull in the path name, just like we did for the cheese icon here. We're not actually going to be able to pull in the contents from this file. But that's okay because that's going to be covered in the next video when we talk about transformer plugins. They're the plugins that help pull out the actual contents from within files. All right, let's go back to our config. And in here, what we want to do is we want to give this plugin access to our new directory posts. There's a couple of different ways that we can do this, but what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and copy that. And in here, we just want to make a few changes. It's the same plugin, obviously. We're just going to change this to posts. So we're pointing it at the correct directory. And we're just going to give this a new name. And like I said, we are going to be using this for our blog post later. So an appropriate name here would be blog posts. Okay, now let's restart our app. We have to go to the terminal. Remember, you make a change to the config file, you need to restart the application. So let's do that first. Okay, so I'm just going to run Gatsby develop again, and then let's head back to the playground. All right, now if we run this query again, we should still see our cheese icon, but we should also get back the path to our example MD file that we just created. Okay, fantastic. There it is. So nice and simple. A source plugin has allowed us to access the file. Next, we're going to work with transformer plugins that will allow us to access the actual contents within the file. All right, so now you know that source plugins help retrieve data, and this here is just a tiny sample of some other source plugins that are available through Gatsby.